Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode on implementing DataLoader in GraphQL using Hot Chocolate library in .NET application. Here, DataLoaders are useful to get the performance benefits while using in the GraphQL endpoints because GraphQL has the flexibility to query the endpoint in different ways. One such way is using the fragment queries. Fragment queries are very helpful when you want to fetch some data like a complex data to comparison between the two items. So the fragments queries look like this. See here, if you observe, I am requesting the server to give me the results like a two separate objects, like based on my filter. So here I am comparing two mobile phones like OnePlus and Redmi. So here you can see the result also. Okay, it is giving me the complex kind of data is very simple way in very simple way like a comparison object. Right, this is the fragmentation query in GraphQL. Like this, we can have n number of subqueries inside of it. So these queries in general, if we don't use any kind of data loaders, what they will do means they will execute. Uh, Here we have two subqueries, right? Think like these are two subqueries. These going when the server receives this kind of fragment request based on the subqueries. Here we have two, right? So it will run two times our resolver method. Means if we have three, then it will run three times. So here we can observe some performance issue, right? For this kind of queries. So to avoid them and to fix them and to work it more efficiently, Hot Chocolate GraphQL has introduced a concept like data loader, where within the single shot, we can get the results like this comparison object only. Okay. So before going any further, I want to mention that this entire session has been made as blog. Okay. In this blog, you can check everything. I have a recording in this video. So this blog link will be available at the description under the video. So if you want, you can check the blog as well. So coming to our demo, here I am using the existing application. If you check my blog, the links below I will give regarding the introduction of the GraphQL. Okay, I have made videos also, and I made them available as blogs also. All the links will be available in the description. My suggestion is a data loader is an advanced concept. I suggest to see this video those who have a knowledge in GraphQL. If you don't have any knowledge or a beginner of GraphQL, please go for the introduction videos. There are couple of videos and couple of blogs which you can choose anyone and get familiar with the GraphQL. Next, come to the data loaders. So if you have knowledge, you can freely watch this video session. Okay. So here I want to show you the problem. Okay. So the result here I am getting, it is returning from this resolver. Okay. This is the resolver. It is returning the data to the client. Okay. Here I am running without debugging. So I will stop it here. And what I will do, I will debug it so that you can understand the problem that relies when we don't use the data loaders. So let me add a debugger here and let me run. Now my application is up and running. So let's observe the issue I am mentioning. Okay, let's go to my banana. This page is a banana cake pop that was a built-in tool to query the GraphQL endpoint. This was comes with the hot chocolate library. Okay, so let's run our fragmentation query. Fragmentation query. So let me hit now. Okay. So I got debugger. If you observe the brand here, this brand is nothing but the query parameter. Here we are passing in our what I can say in fragments query. Okay. So if you observe here, Redmi. Okay. Let's click on continue by clicking F5. See, we got second time also debugger and check this one place. If you go to our banana tool, here you can observe we are querying two mobile gadgets, right? So actually it is sending single request only, but the resolvers are running two times. And inside of my resolver, I have the logic to communicate with the database. Means if I have n number of subqueries in this fragments query, that many times my resolver method gets executed, which might be a big performance issue if real-time application when you are using this kind of fragmented queries. Okay, so to so you got it right. The problem we have seen here. So to resolve this, n number of calls to single call are executing the our resolver only single time, regardless of the logic that is it is either communicating with the external HTTP client or database. Regardless of that, we want to execute our resolver only one time only. Data loader, what it will do, it collects all the request query parameters as a collection, and all the collection will be executed against the database as a single call, and resolvers also execute one time only. So that is the issue will be fixed with the help of our data loaders in this kind of fragments queries. Okay, so and I want to also mention one more issue along with this loader in this session, that is when you use asynchronous call. Here I am using synchronous calls only, right? But today's modern web development most recommended are asynchronous only. So if you use asynchronous call here and if you try to execute this fragments query, then again we will have another problem like DB context has been consumed by the multiple threads. Okay, so to expose that issue to ourselves, let me change this resolver logic to work as asynchronous calls. Okay. So what we did here, we just converted our synchronous call into asynchronous call, right? So let's test again our application. This time what I will do, I will just run my application without any debugger. Let's test our query. See here, if you observe, it is showing unexpected error has been occurred, some generic message. And if you observe, we got one gadget, means this query is executed. But while executing this query, the order doesn't matter. It might be anything. The error will occur because it will run on multiple threads. Okay. Here, while executing gadget one, it's got error. So here error is not so clear. So let's go to our terminal. So here is a second operation has been started on this context, this my old DB context, before the previous operation is occurred. That is because when we are using our DB context is scoped one, right? and we are triggering two multiple threads, and those two threads are trying to use same DB context because they are under same request, right? So they are executing parallelly because we know these fragment queries will execute parallelly. So that is causing the issue with the DB context. So this is the second issue with the fragments. First problem I have shown you is regarding the data loader. This is the regarding the DB context while we having the asynchronous call. So in this video, along with the data loader, I want to also give solution for this asynchronous calls as well. So first I want to fix this asynchronous calls. So for that, what we will do, we will use uh, DB context pool, database context pool, and as well as we are going to implement logic such a way that the context will be uh, separate for each thread. Means here we are running two parallel threads, right? For two subqueries, each thread will have their own DB context that will be taken from the database context pool. So here database context pool is introduced from I think .NET Core 3.2, and it is uh, how it will work means it will have a pool of DB context which are already created around I think 128 will be actively available in the pool, so that uh, what it will help if you in this threading type of scenarios it will deliver easily more efficiently the resources to the requests without causing any issues, and also it will be more efficient than this normal approach. Okay, so for that, what first thing I need to do is I need to change my DB context registration as context pool registration. So, and one more thing, you may think DB context will be very helpful, right? Uh, but you need to understand your scenarios based on your business, how your application and requests are useful. Based on that, and based on your application logic and implementation, please go for the DB context pool. Don't take DB context pool is the first priority to use, because we may get some pitfalls using DB context pool also if we use it inappropriate way. If you want, I will try to create a separate video on that. And so here for my business scenario, DB context is appropriate, and also this approach is the recommended by the GraphQL hot chocolate as well. Let's go to startup page. What I will do, I will comment this existing code. Okay, and rest will be same only like old one. So what I will do, options, and I need to configure. Just copy. I will copy this above line. Okay. So now what I have completed, I completed registering my application DB context pool. Okay. Now to use this uh, by my GraphQL application, I need to create some extension methods. So those customized extension method will help to create a attribute. That attribute will help to create individual scoped DB context for the each execution of the subqueries. So for that, I need to create an extension method. So extensions, okay, object field descriptor extensions dot cs. Okay, why the name is like this? I am going to explain here. It is a static class. Okay, this is my class. So in this static class, I want to define a extension method for my public I object field descriptor and the method name like use baby context of type generic. Let's import I object. So this is the type, okay, where object field descriptor is inherited, means derived. So let's import this hot chocolate type. So this extension method is only for generating the DB context from the DB context pool. This is the extension method for object field descriptor. Okay. So here we are defining our generic DB context type to entity framework DB context type. Inside of it, we are going to use field descriptor here. S dot get required service service. Okay. Let's name this explicitly. Okay. So here field descriptor, what it is doing, it is trying to create a scoped service of this DB context. So here I need to use not DB. So from this field descriptor, what we are going to do, we are going to use user scoped service method, and that method what it will do, its first parameter, it's going to be create the type of my context we are going to pass dynamically using the DB context factory. This DB context factory job is to pick up the DB context instance from the pool that is available to it from our registered pool. Okay. So here we are creating the our DB context. So this here second parameter is to dispose it, to dispose the uh, uh, context. So once it is disposed, the instance will be again go back to the pool. So it will be served to the subsequent requests. So that is the logic we have created, and I need to return this it is as output. So now let's create an attribute. For that, I am going to create a new folder like attributes, my old baby context attribute. So let's define our class. So to make it, this class has decorated attribute onto the resolver. So to make our class as a decorated attribute on resolvers, we need to inherit a object field descriptor attribute that loads from the hot chocolate types. Okay. So now this use my DB context attribute can be used as a decorator onto my resolvers. So here we need to override some method. Okay. On configure method, we need to override it. Descriptor dot. So here just change the namespace to extensions. Okay. So here we are going to use our extension that was created previously, and we are going to define our type of our DB context. So that's it. Nothing more else. What we have did, we have created a object field descriptor extension method, and then we created a object field descriptor. Inside of it, we are consuming the extension method by defining the type of our database. So now what I will do, I am going to open my query where my resolver is there. This is my resolver, right? So here I am going to decorate my attribute I have created recently. What is my attribute? Use, no need to add attribute, just name before the attribute. Copy that and go to my query and paste it here and GraphQL attribute. So this is my, I have decorated my object field descriptor extension. So now I need to change this type to scoped service. Okay. Whenever this fragmented query received by the server, what it will do? First, it will to execute our resolver. Let me. So to execute our resolver, GraphQL don't understand our C# methods. They we to understand to make our method understandable by the GraphQL endpoint, we have to register our every method as a field in the uh, field in the query object type mapped data. So whenever this request comes to the uh, uh, fragment query request come to the server, this field is executed. So what it is field means it will run for this query this as a field one time, and for this it will again execute this as a field. Ultimately it is going to trigger what? Our query and our resolver method. So that is the reason GraphQL has provided this iObject field. See here what we are saying, for every field of resolver execution, give me a scoped request of DB context. So that is the meaning here on decorating it on every execution of this field. This field is nothing but registered in our graph query object type. So this method for every thread execution, give me the new scoped DB context object. That is the meaning what we have defined till now as an attribute. Let's test it. Now let's test our application for multi-threading scenario. This multi-threading scenario, what we have an exception, right? Previously, this exception, unexpected exception, that is due to the different threads try to using the single instance of DB context parallelly at the same time. So that will get fixed by the approach what we have implemented here by creating a iObject field descriptor attribute. So our application is up and running, I think. Let's run it. So here see, we got no error. Means we have fixed the uh, threaded issue with the DB context. Previously what we have got, we have fixed that one by using the DB context pool and also creating a iObject descriptor extension attribute. So with the help of both, we have resolved our threading issue. So that's all about the how to fix the how to call the asynchronous calls in our application. Next, so in this approach also it will run multiple times only. Till now we haven't touched any logic of writing data loader. If you want, you can. What we will do, we will debug and show you the real issue. What this video means for, that is data loader. Why data loader? Uh, so let's debug it and run. Let me show you the issue what I have shown earlier. Running the uh, running resolver multiple times when we use fragmented queries. Okay. So if you click here, we got debugger first time with the brand data as Redmi. I am hitting F5. Okay. And here next time Redmi. So if either it is a synchronous or asynchronous in fragmented queries, our resolver is executing multiple times. So now we have to resolve this issue by creating a data loader. So for that, we are going to create our custom data loader. So what I will do for that, I am going to create another folder like data loader data. Okay. So we can have a number of data loaders based on our this functionality. Means now this entire logic will be shifted to the data loader file. So I'm going to name my data loader as .cs. This is my data loader file. Okay. Let, okay. To make this instance of class as a data loader. So this comes from the hot chocolate dot data loader. Okay, namespace, and it is a generic class where we have to define. See, it is showing intelligence like key and the value. Key is nothing but the type we have to define. That match with our match with our filtering properties type. Here my filtering property is brand and its type is string. So I have to assign it string. Okay. So here it is t value. T value here we need to define the type of the output this loader is going to return. So if you observe our previous report, here you can see gadgets, it is like a array, right? Means collection it will return. So I need to define here type as list and my class type gadgets. Okay. And I have to override some method. Okay. This is the load batch file method. Here I am going to implement my logic to fetch all the data in single item. Okay, before that I need to inject, you need to do two things like it only. So let's create our factory with our DB context factory with our database context type. So let's add a constructor. So here I need to inject my DB context factory. Okay, and DB context factory. Okay, here I am going to assign the DB context factory equal to DB context factory. Here I have to inject one more thing is like batch scheduler. Okay, let's inject batch scheduler. So this is from hot chocolate fetching only batch scheduler. Okay, let's see, pass it over to the base constructor. Base constructor is nothing but our batch loader. Okay, And that's it about the constructor. Here we need to write our logic. Here I am going to create the DB context. Okay. Where DB context equal to DB context dot create. This is going to give us a DB context instance from the pool of contexts. Okay. Let's write async and semicolon here. Why I am using await? Because the dispose type of this DB context, what we have defined, we have defined it as asynchronous dispose, if you recall here. So that is why I am prefixing await before the using. That is a new kind of writing using with await when you use a dispose async method. Okay. And now here I need to get my collection of gadgets first. Gadgets equal to db context dot gadgets. Okay, here what I have to do, if you observe this load batch async parameter, it is a collection of keys. What is this keys? These keys are nothing but these input query parameters from our subqueries of the fragments query. Okay, all these we have to write. These all two will be bundled as a collection. Okay, if you have three, all of three or four, any number, all those things will be bundled as a collection, and will we can receive those data as a keys. See, this type also I read only list type, list of strings as a keys. So here what we are going to do, we are going to filter the gadgets. Okay, like I will do keys dot select. Since these are string properties, what I will do, I will make them case instance to not contact. Okay. Here my link query is just I am making all of them to tool over, and I am checking with the tool over of the brand matching with the gadgets data that is inside of my data. What it will do, it will return all the data that are mapped with our keys. Keys are nothing but what it will do, it will check against the database. If there are any OnePlus brands or Redmi, it will pick all those collection into now. Okay, now I need to return this data output. Now I need to return the output, but the return type of this load batch async is a bit different. It is expecting a dictionary of with the key string and list of gadgets. This string is nothing but this should be our brand, and this collection should be all the group of brands that are related to that brand. So for that, what I will do, return gadgets group by. I will group these values using the brand, and after grouping, I will select those values and assign them to new property like equal to key and gadgets equal to dot group of those list to list. Okay, dictionary a dot key comma v dot values are nothing but gadgets. So we are grouping them and written as the dictionary that is compatible with our data loader type. right? So we are done up to now. Next, we need to register our data loaders similar to our queries and the mutations, the way we have registered them in the startup file. So let's go to startup file. Okay. Here add one more extension method like add data loaders, and here assign your data loader type. Let's copy my class name and go here and paste it. So we have registered our gadgets data loader as well. Okay, let's import the namespace. So next what we have to do, we need to consume this data loader inside of our what I can say resolver methods. For that what I will do, I will go to query class. Okay, the query class, here I will duplicate this method and I will like loader. Okay, get by brands loader. I changed name like that, and here what I can do, I can leave brands parameter like that only. I can remove context from here, and what I will do, I will use my data loader direct. I can inject my data loader directly here. So let's copy the class name again. Okay, paste it here. I will name as loader. Okay, here what I will do, loader dot load async. So this is expecting input parameters like the key. Key is nothing but our brands. I'm going to pass brand, and it is one more property like is cancellation property. Let's also from threading. So let's pass it here. So that's it. This is our resolver method. What we have did, we just injected our gadgets loader and the cancellation token. These things will be taken care by the framework, GraphQL framework itself, hot chocolate GraphQL framework. Nothing we will pass. Similar to any other resolvers, we also need to uh, declare a field for this resolver in our query object type. So let's go to query object type. Here what I will do, I will copy this existing field. Okay, what I will do, I will name this field as loader, and I will change this name loader. Okay, here it is expecting three properties, so three input parameters. So you can do one more default. So that's it. So on our query execution, what will happen? Our loader gets executed that we have created in our query. So this loader dot load async executes nothing but the method that is load batch async. Internally, it will call this, and from this, it will filter the data and returns the appropriate results. Okay, so let's try to build our project. A semicolon missing. Let's save it again. And now let's test now by debugging it, not like this. Let's test our query by debugging it, whether it is executing couple of times or single time only. So let me run it in debug mode. So if it executes only one time, we successfully fixed our performance issue or some better implementation using the data loaders that is provided by the hot chocolate. So let's hit the run button. So we got the hit. Okay, it is hitting the previous one. So what I will do, I need to change the query type. So what I will do, I will also add a debugger in my gadgets loader. Here also I am using debugger. Okay. So here I need to change my query values. What I have declared a new field name, query object type. Copy this new field name and replace over here. Okay, now it will run our data loader resolver method. So go here. What I got? I got Redmi. Okay, and I got OnePlus. See here, it is running resolver 2 times. Okay, but load batch, the logic where our TB context resides, it will runs only single time. See, it will get all the list. So here what my resolver doing? My resolver correcting all the query parameters, these query parameters. Okay, once that is received, then only it executing my batch. So here what we have avoided? We avoided the multiple calls to the DB. Right, let's check the output as well. Then we get clear idea. We are getting empty data. I need to specify too lower. I think this is the reason. Let's check one more time. So let's test again. Yes, now working perfectly. The issue is while grouping, I need to check the casing because I have some casing issue with my data. Never mind. So we have finally succeeded to execute the data loader in our GraphQL application. So benefit we have observed, right? I am simply recapping it here. On receiving the fragmented query, what it will do, GraphQL execute resolver 2 times. Uh, Previously I have mentioned like resolver also execute one time, right? So I am correcting that word. Resolver always works based on the number of count of these subqueries. But what we have did, based using data loader, we make the our important logic TB communication runs at single time only. But so that's it, guys. With this, we can get performance benefit by running our database call single time only. Here we have fixed two important problems like DB context sharing between the multiple threads. For that, what we have did, we did used the DB context pooling, and the second thing is we the multiple DB calls are executed based on the fragment request inside of its subqueries. So using the data loaders, what we did, we are able to reduce it to single call. So if our fragmentation have n number of subqueries, only resolver will execute n number of time, but the our loader logic will execute only one time. Inside of loader, what logic we will have? We will have logic like data communication. So I think this video has delivered some useful information. If you like my video, please do subscribe to my channel. We will meet you again soon with new videos. Until then, signing off.